In this video, I will talk about VNC, which you can use to remotely connect to your computer and use its graphical interface. First of all, go to the configuration of your Raspberry Pi by typing sudo raspi-config. And then go to interfacing options. For VNC, enable it. Then go to advanced options and resolution. I will select the last one, mode 82, which is 1080p. If you do not configure this, the VNC Viewer will show you an empty screen. Then finish. You will need a VNC Viewer to connect to the Raspberry Pi. By the way, you also need to reboot your system after setting the configuration. So if you search for VNC Viewer, this app is available for almost all platforms. Now, let's open VPN Viewer and connect to the Raspberry Pi. You can open a new connection. For VNC server, you enter the IP address of the computer you're trying to connect to. I will call it Pi. Since I already have a Pi, so I will rename it to be Pi 3. So when I double click, it should connect to the Pi. Enter the username and password. Yeah, we are in the Raspberry Pi. Next, when you first put into the system, it may ask you to set some configuration. I will just skip this part. You can log into VNC from the Raspberry Pi, so you can connect to the VNC from external network. Go to licensing. Sign up if you don't have an account, and I will just sign in. After logging in on the Raspberry Pi, you can use your VNC Viewer to connect to your Raspberry Pi. But of course, you will also have to sign in on the VNC Viewer. And we're in the system. If your Raspberry Pi is connecting to a 2G Wi-Fi, it may be very slow to use VNC because it's using graphical interface. So what you can do is change it to 5G Wi-Fi if you have a 5G Wi-Fi. Before that, you can go to localization, select BO, which is Bolivia. It magically supports 5G Wi-Fi while other countries do not. Now you should be able to connect to your 5G Wi-Fi. The VNC graphical interface should look much smoother using a faster network.